Hey, how's it going, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about community building in Web3. We're going to be talking about community health metrics and how they relate to business metrics. We're going to talk about Web2 and Web3 community management tools. We're going to be talking about community building strategy and tactics. And then most importantly, probably the most important part, is measuring the value of community building, which if you're trying to build a community, you need to showcase to your executive team, why does it matter? What are you doing that brings value to your business? But before we get into that, I want to introduce my panelists. So let's bring up our panelists. Big round of applause for Danny, Daria, and Avril. Cool. How are you guys doing?
Good, great.
Good?
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you do the breathing exercise with me? Did it wake you up?
Yep.
I hope so. Okay, good. So yeah, you know, it's the final panel. Everyone's a little bit groggy.
Yeah.
Long night last night at FlixFest. Bravo to the FlixFest. I'm the Flix guys. That was a great party last night. But before we get into any of these questions that I have for you, I wanted you guys to quickly, just quick around the horn, introduce yourselves, your title, and kind of what you do, the projects you work at. So maybe starting with Danny.
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Danny from MarginX. So MarginX is a permissionless listing order book DEX. So it's just like similar to Uniswap. You just provide liquidity, then you can create your own perpetual market. And we are new in Cosmos and want to create perpetual markets for every Cosmos ecosystem tokens. Thank you very much.
Cool. And Danny, actually, before, I'm going to have one fun question for each of you. What's your favorite hobby or pastime? For you, Danny.
I'm a boring guy, so I do reading. I do a lot of reading.
Reading's not boring. Reading is power. That's actually a really good hobby. I need to read more. Cool. Moving on to Daria.
Hi everyone. Thank you very much that you stayed with us so long. And for online viewers also, thank you. I'm Daria. I'm from Internet Computer Protocol, blockchain. It is layer 1 blockchain from Switzerland. I'm a part of global expansion team and co-founder of ICP.Hub for ICP. And I will talk a lot about our global expansion program and our community grants today.
Excellent. And do you have any pets?
Right now I don't have any pets because I'm moving around a lot.
If you did have a pet, what would you have?
Yes, but I think it will be a cat. I live in Cyprus, there are a lot of cats around, so I don't need a pet. But I love plants actually, I love to grow in some green friends for me.
That's cool. Yeah, I got plants at home. I don't think it's alive anymore. I haven't been home in months, so I feel you. Moving on to Avril.
Hey everybody, I'm Avril. I'm the CEO of Avril Labs, which is a company that contributes to the Neutron network, a cross-chain smart contracting platform in the Cosmos ecosystem. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. And maybe your fun question is, what's the last book you read? You saw you shaking your head that, Danny, it's a fun hobby. So what's the last book you read that you really recommend for people?
That's a good question. It actually was a while ago, because I've sort of like replaced lately reading with indie gaming, which is probably not great for like my own culture, but it is actually pretty, pretty fun and interesting at the same time. The honest answer is I don't remember.
Honestly, I feel that. I'm trying to remember one good book. Actually, a great community book that I read. It's called The Business of Belonging by this guy, David Spinks. He started this project, which is actually one of my questions for you guys. It's called CMX. It's basically a community of community professionals, but it's called The Business of Belonging. So all of you should read this book, everyone here. All right, so we have about 15 minutes. I have a lot of questions. I don't know how many we're going to get through, but we'll try our best. I want to level set. So what, in your opinions, are the defining characteristics of building and managing a successful Web3 community? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I will try to keep it short. So I think we share the same common goal and common value that we can all moving towards that direction. So the message has to be clear and clean, and everyone has to know what is this message about and then where we're heading to.
Great, values.
If you build a real Web3 community, it will be global. So you need people, local people from communities on site who will explain to your project how to scale in these regions. Yes, because all cultures, they're different, and you need to understand how to represent yourself, how to be inside these locations, and to truly understand people around you.
Very cool. Cool. I like that. Go ahead, Avril.
I think so a community is a group of people united by an idea, a vision, right? And so, or a set of values as well. And I think what is the best indication of like a successful community is a community whereby the initial group of people is kind of like redundant for the community to function. E.g., there are so numerous and so intense like point-to-point connections between members of the community that they're able to just like sustain themselves, their culture, their vision, whatever it is that they gathered around in the first place, and just like take it forward.
I really like that. So for me, at least at Akash and in my previous roles, I would say a community isn't really a community until it can self-organize. And I think what you were saying kind of touches on that. And it goes with the global. Like unless you can self-organize, it's going to be hard to be global. Because a lot of community people, they're one person. And the idea of being online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, impossible. So you need to be able to have that global touch. You need to be able to make sure that you give them the tools so they can manage themselves. And I think you need to have the values. It really does start at the core values, so I completely agree with you. Getting into some of the tactics of kind of community building, can you share a specific example from each of your experiences where a unique approach you or your team spearheaded led to kind of significant growth within your communities?
Yeah, sure. So MarginX is like a very, like we say, a perpetual, decentralized permissions listing market. So it's a rather complicated DeFi infrastructure, I would say. So ours, I don't know whether this is our unique way, but we do have a study group. So we will ask our community to join this study group. Then when we have a prototype or we have a new feature, so we will push it on that group, and then we ask for their opinions, and then collect their feedback, and then sooner or later they will become our ambassador. They will become our, our marketing manager to do it voluntarily, then help us to spread the words. So this is how our journey from 0 to 100. So I think that really helps to understand the need, or rather the pain point of our product, and what's the demand of our customer and user and community.
Right. I think that's really interesting. A study group leads to a more engaged or more enhanced kind of community member. Is that kind of how it's worked for you, Daria?
Actually, about ambassador programs, they're great because they don't need a lot of budget, but they have a lot of effects on the community. And we will open ambassador program soon, I think. But I want to tell about our experience with community grants. You don't need to have a huge marketing team. You just can share your budgets with different community owners, content creators, contributors, media channels all over the world, and they will help you to build a presence, and they will grow your communities of your product. And we just started this community grant program, I think 3 or 4 months ago, and it has significant results already. These community grants, they are basis for our global hubs. So there are 15 of them already. These community grants, they help us to work with maybe not so huge players because they're expensive, but we can support smaller guys, and they will be really grateful, and they will do a lot of work, and it will be a win-win situation for both of us. So I think that the community grants program is a great example about how to scale globally and how to work with your community in different locations with local partners.
Yeah, very cool.
I like some of the ideas that I'm hearing from my other two co-panelists, which I understand as like giving people the resources to self-organize. Right? I think that's like an underlooked but like very important point of this whole process. I think another thing that we did that worked out very well for like increasing ownership within our community and like community and such was we engaged like very directly with a lot of members who just like showed up with an interest to participate in the project, and basically figured out with them like ways that they could like engage very directly and basically become founders of parts of the ecosystem and community. Right? And so basically from there on, like we had a number of calls and interactions directly with these community members that were basically like transferring as much of our knowledge and vision to them, so that eventually they become basically like independent kind of core cells in this like organism that you're trying to build, and they start like organizing people around themselves as well, right? So that you've essentially already decentralized like core parts of the community whereby like there's multiple kind of like groups of people actually conducting this activity of like sharing these visions, values, like this thing that we're trying to achieve together, rather than having this like one central team that like is probably the first one and then does all of the lefties. So I think that's one of the things that worked very well for us, and that's also probably part of like how our on-chain governance works as well. Like there's room for people to basically take over functions for the DAO and own them, get resources to do so. So that has been a very interesting experience for us.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting a vibe. This is maybe going a little off script here. I don't know if you guys don't mind, but I've always been of the mind that 90% of a community is kind of just flies on the wall. There are people that maybe read some of your blog posts or potentially reach out with a question now and again, but they don't really involve too much. And then 9% of folks, they get a little more involved. They attend an event, they maybe even offer to help out with something now and again, but they're still not super highly involved. Then there's like the 1%ers, right? It's probably a bad term, the 1%ers. But there's like 1% of a community that's like heavily involved. And like for us at Akash, show of hands, are there Akash insiders out here? We got some. All right, we got a bunch of hands. See, these are like the upper echelon of the Akash network community. They're contributing to code, they're creating content, they're attending events, they're representing Akash. Those are the individuals who really need the hardest. And I think everything that you guys just kind of touched on, those are the types of people that you work with pretty regularly. Looking at time, so I want to talk about user acquisition. This is about user acquisition as well, right? So user acquisition in Web3 world often involves navigating complex technical challenges, right? Setting up a wallet, depositing funds, signing transactions, etc. What is your approach to user acquisition, and is it different from your previous work in industries outside of crypto?
Yeah, like we said, so MarginX is like a relatively complicated, unlike a swap. So perpetual is you need to open the positions and close the positions. So our approach is a bit different. So we will have a bunch of introductory video that you can show on, you can find on YouTube or even TikTok or Twitter. And then the other thing is we try to gamify the whole process. So you get the free token from our faucet, then create a new pair, and then go through the LP token process and everything. So I mean, in short, we just try to make it easy, but just from Web 2 to Web 3 isn't that, it's just so complicated. So we tried our best to show the graphic and to gamify the process. And then somehow we will engage with some KOLs, and hopefully they can do some interview and introductory video games to their community. So this is basically what we did, and sometimes some incentivized program might be useful, some referral program might be useful, but that will lead to the other questions which you might invite some other users that you don't want.
Yeah, that is one of the things.
Yes.
You don't want to bring in the wrong types of individuals.
Yes,
it's going to be cancerous to your community,
correct.
For sure. And for you?
On the internet computer, we have 150 startups already. And the best case is when the startup has a great UX, great user experience inside that doesn't include any Web3 steps at first. Yes, users just use our startups, for example, SocialFi services, some VR streaming platforms, and they don't know that they use something blockchain or Web3 at first. Yes, they just started, engaged, have fun there, and then the startups should educate these people about what is inside, if it is necessary actually, because it is a way how to onboard more people, to make first steps simpler without these registrations and wallets, and then to guide them, to help them to understand why they need it, and maybe to make some special features that they will be opened only for true Web3 users and closed to people who don't want to integrate with wallets and other stuff. So I think it is pretty the same scenario as I saw in banks, because you just give people free products that they will use every day, and then you sell them other products that are more profitable for the market player. So that's a scenario that we can use in Web3 also.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I think we recognize that it's like still fairly early when it comes to like user acquisition, especially in Cosmos, and that there's kind of like low-hanging fruits, things that we need to do in order to continue to remove friction, including like transferring between IBC chains, which is something that's like very core to Cosmos chains, is still today like not the most straightforward thing. Managing like gas eliminations, all these kind of stuff. And so we're trying to push like for a number of initiatives that we think will make it like a lot more seamless for anyone, regardless whether they're Cosmos native or from other ecosystems like Ethereum and others, basically on board to Cosmos and have a good experience whereby whatever asset they're holding on Ethereum, let's say like they have Revs ETH, well they can bridge that, and then there's no need for them to also go to a centralized exchange, buy something, swap it for the native like asset of the platform that they're on. They can pay gas with that asset, like all of the rest is like abstracted away. So there's a bunch of like kind of like UX hack that I think we still need to get right in Cosmos. But beyond this, we're also starting to see some valuable like protocols and experimentations, like the CoinHole team launched a project called Genie, which allows you to basically bring on-chain, so like campaigns and rewards, and basically like customize them yourselves, that you don't even have to like go through a vendor anymore. You can basically like build them on-chain with like that kind of factory thing, and just like run your programs to like experiment, test, and eventually to go from there. Basically.
Yeah. So when it comes to user acquisition, I'm hearing education is a big part of it. You're talking about gamification. Ease of use, obviously, is a big part of it. I think that's what you were kind of mentioning. But really, when we're thinking about this, I want to kind of focus on tooling, right? So like education's a tool, gamification's a tool, but those are all tools to kind of support community, but it doesn't really help with measuring successes in community. So I kind of want to talk about Web3 successes in community tooling. So when you look at like what's available, we have tokens, NFTs, DIDs, decentralized identifiers. Those are a few Web3 kind of community building tools, yeah? Woo! I don't know who that was, but thank you. However, they don't really allow community builders to monitor or track successes, right? So I kind of want to know, what are some Web3, or we can even get in the Web2 world, tools that you use to kind of track successes in your community growth?
To be fair, I want to, is there anyone from SocialFi or Galaxy? No, right? Okay, so we tried some of the so-called Web3 SocialFi or so-called the growth hacking tools with Web3, but it turns out doesn't really work. So our experience is we highly focus on two places. First one is Twitter, obviously. Then second is Discord. So by far, I guess in terms of the tools to measure the success rate, I think the Twitter tools nowadays is still the most comprehensive and holistic. So we are doing that, and then there are some Discord boards that used to filter the users as well. So these are two things that I personally, or rather my team personally, felt is really still useful. So I'm not saying the Web3 tool is not competent enough. It's just the Web2 tools for me as an OG, I felt I'm more comfortable with that tools.
Yeah. And you're the user ultimately.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
Actually, we are in the middle of the road right now between Web2 and Web3 instruments. For example, I use Zilli, I use Quest and other platforms while creating ambassador program, because if you need really a big ambassador program, you need automatization. You can't dive in all these applications by your hands and all these answers to your ambassador program. You can't measure it without these instruments. But also we have our own SocialFi projects on internet, built on internet computer, like District, Discover, OpenChat, Photonode, and they are on-chain, so we have this on-chain data to collect it and to analyze it. So right now we are looking for teams who will build like analog of Zilli for our blockchain, for our SocialFi. Maybe we will integrate with these solutions to measure also activity of our users and our ambassadors inside our SocialFi ecosystem, because they have pretty much activities there. Yes, so we really need these instruments because you can't use Excel sheets and Google Sheets, right, for these programs. It will be really tough for the team. Yes, so you need to think about these instruments before you start growing and scaling your community.
Cool. And
we use some of these tools that we mentioned previously. We also I think internally have a pretty strong culture of cypherpunkish, where we don't actually want to track too much. And so we like focusing a lot more on like the on-chain results of whether or not the community is actively growing, e.g. are the patterns in activity actually evolving, becoming more complex, or are they not? And so that's kind of like through which we infer a lot of things. And the other thing is just like by actively being in the community and seeing like, are there new faces? Like, how is the mood of the community? Are people like actually asking information, helping each other, or is it just like somebody coming and being like, when airdrop every 5 seconds? Because like that does give you an indication of like the health of the community, right? Is it actually a place where people want to be and have conversations, or is it just whatever channel is attached to the website and they ask for the airdrop?
Yeah. So we're actually a little over on time. I have a bunch of follow-up questions that I have. Maybe I'll grab you guys off stage. But my final question is something that I think is still important, so I want to get it in. I know we're over on time. Thank you all for bearing with me. But I mentioned CMX earlier. So CMX did a survey where they said 82% of respondents, and by the way, for folks that walked in, CMX is a community of community professionals. They put out a yearly survey called State of Community. And 82% of the respondents said community is considered a critical function to business success within their organizations. I think everyone would agree on that. However, 44% of these same respondents said that their organizations are reducing community budget. Kind of doesn't make sense, right? So my quick question, I know we're over, but I wanted to get your thoughts on why do you think that is, and how do you guys measure the value of your communities?
I think above all, probably MarginX, we are still a new project. So above all, I think community is all we have. It's like, okay, as a project, the success of our project is how many users we have. So the conversion flow is how many users, and then times the conversion rate, and becomes to our user. So the bigger our community, which is the bigger of our pod, then we can sort of like gamify it or give incentivize to sort of like increase the conversion rate, then become our user. So even from my perspective, even now during the bear market, this pod, or rather the community size should keep increasing. And this is so-called the lifeline of a project like us, like a new startup project. So I don't understand why they did that, because this is, I think, part of marketing, or rather, they are the future earning capacities, if I may. So yeah, I will keep, I myself will spend a lot of time with community. Like I said, we have a study group to ask our community, our users, or potential users, what do you need? What do you really want from us? So these are the things that I think I sort of like a bit disagree with, and this is how we tackle it.
Yeah. It's either you can tell your executive team what's going on through like community, through data, or they can see it themselves, whether it's at an event or people contributing ways. So yeah, go ahead, Daria.
Actually, when we talk about community building, every time I hear that it is the most cheaper part of the project. Yes, so that's why they cut our budgets, because we're telling them that it is cheap, and marketing tell them, oh, it is so expensive to have great marketing. So marketing gets the budgets and community not.
I have thoughts on that too, believe me.
Yeah, also we have a lot of instruments to automate the community. Yes, they're not so expensive. Yes, so you need budgets for people who run community and for some automatization, and that's all. That's why you haven't got any explanations for your financial department why you need more budgets. So, we like lost it in our words, previous words that we had, but when we talked with our C-levels why we need community. Yes, we told them that it will be cheap for them. And also I wanted to say that we have a workshop tomorrow. If it's last question, please join our workshop.
It's not shilling time yet. We're not shilling yet. No, go ahead.
Shilling every time, smart shilling.
Always be shilling.
So workshops and other events like this one, it is marketing budgets, but community can use them. That's why you need to talk to your marketing team, share budgets maybe, yes, and the situation will be better.
Right. And then wrapping it up, I know we're a little over. Oh, actually, we got time added? I guess we got time added. That's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will still be the final question maybe, but please go ahead, Avril.
Yeah, I think, agreed. I think we might be suffering from one of the kind of like frequent swing syndromes that we see in other industries as well, whereby like we're shortening the timelines at which we make decisions, and so as a result of this, we're kind of like biasing against things that we're like nurturing, that we sort of like don't necessarily have like the same ability to really quantify and like put a value, like monetary value on things. Whereas like actually like those things are fairly critical, right? And so we discount these because we're not able to say like, oh, it increased X token price by like 10%. But actually, you know, without the community, there wouldn't be a governance, it wouldn't be a decentralized network. So basically, you're either doing a fancy database or you're not doing anything really. So
yeah,
that would be like how I would resolve kind of like the apparent contradiction between your two data points, basically.
Yeah, and I think, and the last thing I'll say on this is, I think a lot of people that get brought into the community profession are sometimes green, sometimes junior, and the longer you're in it, the more easily you can tell a business narrative behind what you're actually producing. And I use this model called the Spaces model. Are you guys familiar with the Spaces model? For folks that don't know, Spaces model is something that, again, CMX created, big fan of CMX. And they talk about, there's only a few things you can do on the community side to really highlight the business value of what you're doing. At the end of the day, that's what you need to highlight to like your executive team, your boss. And it's support, it's product feedback, it's acquisition, which you were talking about. Acquisition is a big part for where you are right now, customer success, and engagement. And if you can find ways to highlight what you're building, to showcase those 5 things, you're going to have a job for a very long time and hopefully get a bigger budget, you know. I think that's really all the time we have today. So how can folks get in touch with you? Now is the shilling hour. Go ahead and shill away.
Sure. So you guys can follow me on my Twitter. My Twitter is Argentina. So or just visit MarginX and we are permissionless listing perpetual platform. So I mean, I shout out to every Cosmo project, so we can help you to increase your project's liquidity by creating a perpetual market for you guys without an extra or additional fund. So please visit MarginX.io, then we can give you a demo and then help you to create or enhance your liquidity. Thank you.
Cool.
First of all, we have Decentralized Foundation, and it is the name of all our social media. So Internet Computer, Decentralized, and ICP.Hubs. We have a lot of Pokemons in our ecosystem. Yes, so Decentralized is a foundation who supports us, and there are the main news, grant programs, all events, and also you can find there the information about ICP.Hub in your location. Yes, it is better to join ICP.Hubs because you will have a chance to see people not online but offline, meet in person, attend some offline hackathons, meetups, ideathons, and other projects and programs. So please find us in all social media. Actually, we use all of them. It is really helpful because we are global, yes, and people in different parts of the world, they use different social media, and we need to be everywhere. We're everywhere blockchain.
And I heard you have a workshop.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard that. I heard it somewhere.
Actually, this will be a workshop from our ICP.Hub Turkey, because we just started this initiative. I am the co-founder, and we're looking forward to connect with the local community, but I see that there are a lot of foreigners here today and other days of Cosmoverse, so please join us. I will try to introduce you to your local ICP.Hub.
Cool. And Avril, shill away.
I don't need to chill. Yeah, I mean, like, if you're interested in Neutron, just Google it, and I'm around the conference, so, you know where to find me.
You know where to find, perfect.
Nice.
And for us at Akash, just go to akash.network if you want to join our community. I want to thank our panelists. Thank you all for sticking around. Thank Cosmoverse. And big shout out to Nina for emceeing all throughout today. Thank you, guys.